And now it's time for some things in the news that caught my eye, and this is a huge story out of New York. Spectrum, their internet and cable TV service, is getting kicked out of New York, at least right now, because they have not been meeting the expectations of their customers or their regulators. Now, what happened is that two of these big cable companies merged, Spectrum and Charter, and the New York regulators said you could merge, but you need to meet certain requirements. We need certain bandwidth for most of the state, and we also want you to build out areas that are underserved, and they agreed to do that. But now we're a couple of years into this merger and nothing has happened. Customers are not happy with the service they're getting. And now the regulators are pulling the franchise agreement, which makes them no longer able to do business in the state. They have about 90 days to comply with this, although I'm sure there will be some legal action to delay that. And who knows what's going to happen, but they have to transition now to another carrier. I don't know which carrier will come in. There's not too many to choose from anymore, so maybe we'll see Comcast jump into that one. Who knows? But this is a big deal because I don't think I can remember a time when regulators have pulled a franchise on a monopoly that they are in charge of regulating, and it's good to see regulators actually listen to customers versus these companies they regulate. It's not often this occurs. Now, a number of years ago, I served on a local cable television advisory council here where I live, and we were a part of the franchise renewal process for Comcast that year. And it was a great experience because Comcast really had to make good on their promises, because if they didn't, we could influence the regulators who ultimately would make the decision as to whether or not to renew the franchise. And we got them to put more money into the local cable television access channel, for example. They did a lot to fix a lot of customer issues that were popping up. They improved some of the infrastructure in parts of the franchise that were not so great. And it was a very good thing for the consumers, and I think good for Comcast because it forced them really to engage with the community beyond just a PR event. They really had to go out there and resolve issues and make things right for customers. And it was quite a process. It was really something that held them accountable, and they had to prove that they were doing what they said they were doing. But what happened, though, about 10 years ago is that the local telephone company started introducing television service through a DSL thing that they were doing. And in doing that, Comcast was able to convince the legislature to get rid of this franchise thing altogether by proving to the legislature. They said, hey, we got competition now, so we shouldn't have to be under this monopolistic franchise agreement anymore. And the legislature agreed. The problem, though, is that this television service never got built out. So it's still out there, but it's not in many parts of the franchise in which I live, including where I am. So I don't have any choice of cable television provider here. Yet the franchise agreement that governed the monopoly that I am living with here went away. So all of those consumer protections that were in place, all the things that Comcast had to do to make good to their customers that they were supporting the community, all of that, for the most part, went away. They don't have to get renewed anymore. And meanwhile, the telephone company has been acquired 2 different times, first by AT&T, which was when they stopped building out the cable TV network, and then they got acquired by Frontier, which is a company that's been buying up all these derelict phone companies all over the country. And they ran out of money, so they have stopped doing anything. In fact, Frontier is in danger of bankruptcy from what I've been reading. Which means that we've had no competitor, no infrastructure build out of these competing services in the area, and now no franchise agreements to hold the monopolies accountable. So this is really just as bad as it gets, and I'm glad New York is taking the steps that they're taking here. And if it's something that you care about, I would check and see what kind of franchise laws you have in your state. And if there's any effort to get rid of them, try to stop it. Let your legislators know this is bad for consumers. Because a lot of times, especially in the case of this franchise removal thing, it kind of happened under the radar. The press didn't really pick up on it, and people really just were not seeing it happen. And before you knew it, it passed and was signed by the governor. So be on the lookout, folks, because they are always trying to get out of being held accountable.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Chris Allegretta, Tom Albrecht, Bill Reiner, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.